Buildings, schools, good infrastructure. What's the first country you think of when I say these words? You know what country I think of? Angola. And for those of you who don't know, Angola is in Africa. You must be thinking, wait a minute, Africa doesn't have buildings? What about all the animals and deserts and jungles? Well, if this was your thought, get ready for your whole world to be shaken. Many people believe certain stereotypes about Africa that lead to misconceptions about life in this beautiful continent. But don't worry, I don't blame you. The media portrays the continent in a certain way that paints a picture that's not entirely true. One common misconception is the quality of education in Africa. Not all schools are underdeveloped, and some schools actually have tables, wait for it, chairs, and even projectors so we can learn. According to UNESCO, Zimbabwe has a literacy rate of 90%, Libya 91%, South Africa 94%, all of which are African countries, showing that Africa is in fact not uneducated, and these statistics also seem to be increasing. How about life in Africa in general? You would think that you'd only go to the flea market to buy food, but big shocker, there's a thing called a supermarket that we also have. Here you can find your usual foods and pretty much anything you need and want, and you would find in your average supermarket. To get to these shops and stores, we need some form of transport though. You would think that we ride on elephants to get to the stores, but in reality, we actually just use cars and buses. But back on the animal topic, I'm sorry to ruin your ideas of talking animals, but we don't actually coexist with them in mud huts. I hope you've learned a bit more about Africa, because these stereotypes create an image of a place you haven't actually visited and seen. This happens in many cases, which is why we have to watch out for the information we are listening to about Africa. For example, let's say a person is scrolling through the world section of a news page. As they scroll, whenever they see an article about Africa, it says diseases spreading or corruption and poverty in Africa. This would make the person think that of Africa. They then go to their friends and tell them about what they've learned, referring to Africa as a place infested by corruption and poverty. Instantly, there's a stereotype in the making, and made by media representation. Another instance could be, for example, a student learning in class about human rights. They find out about poverty in a specific African country. Then somewhere along the line, it turns into Africa as an entirety is poor, instead of a certain group of people in a specific African country, in a specific community, are dealing with poverty. Again, this person now believes that one factor of Africa translates the whole entire continent. Africa is poor, diseased, a jungle full of animals are all stereotypes that aren't entirely true, and in a way, pretty unfair to the continent. I'm not saying that we're just like every other continent. We also have our own culture, but we're not a continent solely dependent on other people. There are still issues such as poverty and minimal access to water, but these are worldwide issues, not just centered in Africa. These issues are present, and I understand that. I'm just saying that our continent, yes, continent, not country, has 54 amazing and unique countries that are much more than the stereotypes presented to the rest of the world. I hope this video has helped shed some light on a beautiful but misinterpreted continent. I encourage you to learn more about Africa through Africans and rather than just foreigners and people who don't actually live in Africa. Read some stories made by African authors, look at videos made by Africans, even come to an African country to get a hands-on experience of its beauty. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've taken something away from this video. Please share this video and comment down below on ways you think that we can challenge the stereotypes presented of Africa. Bye!